Welcome back to Natasha's Reads Right Now, and right now I get to rave about The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. Oh my goodness, I could not believe how much I enjoyed this book. It has skyrocketed to probably my top 10, if not top 5, favorite fantasy series, epic fantasy series, and this is only book 1, so oh my gosh, I hope this series just continues to grip me and to get better and better. So as a lover of epic fantasy, I can tell you this hits all of those key points that I love about that genre and gives a brand new fresh twist to it. So in The Rage of Dragons, it is basically African-inspired fantasy, and it feels like a gladiator revenge story, basically. I want to start off with the world building that Evan Winter created in this book. Even though it wasn't as epic as other fantasy series I've read, I still felt fully involved in the world and in the culture, which is more military based, which I didn't think I would enjoy, but with enough of the other fantasy tropes thrown in, this whole world and culture felt very real to me, and I'm very invested in what is going to happen to the characters in this world. So I feel like the trope of little farm boy goes out into the grand world has been done a lot. Now, as a person from a small town, I really enjoy that trope, that fantasy trope. But I feel that Evan Winter really changed it enough to where it felt brand new, like it was a brand new trope I was reading. But still keeping that same small town boy feel to it. Now, Tao is the person that we follow. And another trope that I'm really enjoying lately are the morally gray characters. So somebody who's not just the hero, but someone who makes mistakes and is going to mess up in big ways a lot of the time. Now, there were times with the main character, Tao, where I did not agree with him. And I was even just like, are you kidding me? How could you be so selfish and close-minded? But I was still rooting for him. Like, I still wanted to give him another chance to do the right thing because I felt that he could do something really great. And also, speaking of Tao, I think he was very well written. Now, Tao, he starts off as a normal guy, and he's even small and, not the strongest character in this book, which, being in a military-based world, is not something that's desirable, when they're training and fighting their whole lives. Just like slow burn romances, this had slow burn training. Like, he didn't just go in, train for a few days, and become the greatest swordsman ever. I mean, he had to work 10 times harder than everyone else just to keep up. And what was great about him is he talked about how, I'm small, I'm a lot weaker than everyone, that I can't control, but I can control how much effort and work I put into my training, which makes him so relatable as a character. I feel like anybody could step into Tao's story, and as long as they have that same mentality, could work their way up like Tao did. And it definitely took the whole course of the book for him to become great. And even when characters become great in other books I've read, I feel like there's too much where they just become almost godlike in a sense, and then there's no risk, there's no, I'm not worried for them because I know, well, he's the best, there's no way anything can touch him. But in this book, I still felt at the end of the book that, oh my gosh, he might not make it out of this, and I really enjoyed that. I love the intensity, and feeling like I don't know what's going to happen. All right, a common thing I'm going to probably be continuing to say about Evan Winter is his stories, just like Tao's slow burn and slow progression in his sword training. Winter translated that also into the slow burn friendships that Tao creates with his sword brothers, those he fights alongside. And there's a main group of 5 or 6 that really bond together. And I felt so connected to each of them. And whenever Tao made some decisions that frustrated me so much, the other group of characters really banded together to help dig Tao out of his hole that he was just digging himself into. And I really enjoyed them, and they each had different roles and personalities in the group that really helped Tao succeed. So a little issue I noticed that I ran into reading this book, because it is a military book, there obviously is going to be a lot of fighting. And most of the time I really enjoyed it. I think the fighting that I enjoyed reading about was mostly the training, the military exercises, the gladiator-like tournaments that they had throughout the book. Those I really enjoyed reading about. But however, when it came to real fighting or the war, at times I felt, I don't know what the word is, war drowsy. I mean, the blow-by-blow descriptions, they kind of started to get long-winded for me, and I was almost to the point where, okay, let's just skim, and okay, yeah, now he beat him. So, but that's what you're going to get in a military book. And one other thing that I felt slowed my progress when I was reading this book was just being thrown into this world. At the very beginning, we're right in the middle of a battle, and then the caste systems. So I'm really glad I had the physical copy of this book. It has a glossary and kind of a word tree map describing the caste system, and I think without that I would have been lost for a lot longer throughout the book. But my progress was slow at the beginning because I kept having to go back to the glossary. I mean, I felt like there were 8 or 9 similar spelled words, all beginning with I, and all describing different levels of the military rankings, and I was having a hard time keeping them straight. Hopefully now that I've got a handle on the caste system and more of the military rankings, I'm hoping that for book 2, which comes out in November, that I'll be able to read that book more quickly. And half positive for this book for me was the love story. It wasn't a main part of the plot line. I mean, there was a couple of times that the plot did intersect with it, but not a lot, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that the 2 characters kind of had to go off on their own, kind of like going off to college, and everybody starts learning new things and growing themselves as a person, so that way when they come back together, they are better for it. And that part I really did love about the romance in this book. In conclusion, loved this book, can't get enough of it. I can't believe I have to wait all the way until November to get book 2, but I feel like that will give me a chance in a couple of months to reread this before book 2 comes out, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot more out of the reread than I did the first read-through. So if you wanted to get in on the ground floor of Evan Winter, I definitely suggest picking up The Rage of Dragons. And as always, I want to hear what you're reading right now. Have any of you read this book? Who's excited for book 2 to come out in November? I want to hear from you down in the comments. So you know the drill. If you like big books and you cannot lie, go ahead and like and subscribe.